Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Sam.
And I'm Matt.
So today we're bringing you the Baskethilt, the Black Fencer version. This is the current version and we're going to give you a little bit of a review on it. Now this isn't my sword, this is Matt's training weapon, so I feel like I need to hand over to Matt and occasionally I will add in the odd anecdote.
Absolutely, thank you, Sam.
No problem.
So this is the, as Sam said, this is the current Black Fencer Baskethilt. So this, before we begin any of the stuff, any of the review, I do want to say that I got this second hand. I didn't pay full whack for this, so obviously that is going to affect how I feel about it. If I'd had to wait for the time that Black Fencer take to deliver a product and paid full price, I might feel differently, but that's just a disclaimer right at the beginning. So straight into the review. This is a fantastic product in my opinion. It's really nice. It is probably the cheapest way into basket hilted broadsword that you've got available to you. I'm counting basket hilted broadsword here as a full basket as opposed to the Rawlings. Could you, thank you Sam, as opposed to the Rawlings, which is kind of like a more mortuary hilt half basket type thing. So the full basket here you can see is slightly more substantial. And of course this is in steel as opposed to the plastic. But this is a very cheap, accessible way into any kind of type of basket hilt. Could be Scottish broadsword, Angelo system, so more British broadswording, or it could be something like silver. So this is a really universal product. So this is actually modelled on a clan era broadsword. It's modelled on the Scottish version of broadswords. The Scots at the time, and still today really, being quite famous for broadswords. It's not that they were the ones that used them sort of exclusively, it's just they were the last ones to keep using them. This Black Fencer is the broad-bladed version. There are two versions. This one, the standard version, and the regimental, which has a lighter, slimmer blade on it, which is more appropriate for doing things like sort of Angelo and the more regimental systems. This one is much more your Highland clan fighter, Taj in one hand, you know, style fighting. Not that it can't be used alone, and in fact that's predominantly how I use it. So there are options for you to pick and choose from. In terms of the basket itself, it's quite big. It's significantly bigger than an original would be. This is done pretty much for the only reason that you can fit a Red Dragon glove in. You can see my hand there. Plenty of room. I can easily fit a big sparring glove in there. And
like you've received many blows kind of like on that and it's not felt it. Like the hand protection is superior.
Absolutely.
On this model, so. Absolutely,
Sam. The hand protection that a Baskethilt provides is second to none really. The only real problems with the basket, and just really the only real problems with this model entirely, is that the basket is prone to damage. So the first bit of damage, I don't know how well you can see that.
Shall I hold while
thank you.
narrate?
Yeah. So right at the base of the blade, at the top of the basket,
top of the basket, sorry.
Is what are called the lugs in thank you Sam, in Highland broadsword. These are supposed to point upwards towards the blade. Their origin and their purpose are at the moment obscure. There are a couple of theories going. We're not going to talk about that right now. We're just going to talk about these. These did point upwards to the blade. They have in fact been flattened now. They were flattened relatively quickly.
Through heavy sparring, I will state.
That's absolutely true. This has received lots of heavy use. Both have been flattened and one has snapped at one point. I don't regard this as a particularly bad thing. At worst, they could very easily be sawn off and removed. And at best, it does provide an extra bit of impact protection at the base of the blade. They're not the problem with this particular model. The problem comes at the other end of the hilt.
As you will observe.
Yeah. So you can see there that the two connecting bands of metal closest to the hand have in fact snapped. Now, this is a problem that is common to all basket hilts. It's just a flaw in the design. It happened on originals. It happens on full steel trainers, and it happens on these. It's just a fact of life when you're using basket hilts. It's a relatively easy fix. They can, if you've got someone who can weld, they can be welded on again, no problem. It's, of course, you know, once they've snapped, once they've been welded back on, they are, again, more prone to snapping. If you then have to pay the costs of a professional blacksmith maybe welding those back on, then that's the price that you might want to factor into the sword itself. But overall, it's not too much of a problem. They are at the base. Like I said, if this basket was so small that you had to wear only a thin glove with it, I think it would be a worse problem. But actually, when you can fit a full-size glove in it, it's not an issue. And you do have either the option of welding them back, leaving them, which is what I've done, really, if I'm honest, or you could choose to remove this metal, and it wouldn't really affect the protection at all, particularly. And there are lots of original basket hilts where these connecting bands don't actually connect; they just terminate close to the hilt, and that was done for ease and convenience. So overall, although it's disappointing that they've snapped, and I do add that this is a second-hand product. If I'd bought this directly from Black Fencer, they are covered by a warranty, so I could send it back and have a replacement. So no criticism at all. This has had heavy sparring, and it's on its second owner now anyway, so it's not a problem. Sam, what your thoughts? You haven't used this yet, have you?
No, I have once. And I would say that the feel is great. Like, I was very tempted to get one, and at the moment, you may have seen our previous video, which was with my new Black Fencer bowl hilt saber, the gymnasium saber, that still has unfortunately yet to be used and yet to be reviewed properly. I chose to buy that instead, just because I wanted to see a different product.
And we like bringing you reviews of different things.
We do, yes. So, I mean, when we have spare money, we will try and buy some new things for you guys. But yeah, so I was tempted to buy this, and just from what I've seen so far, so seeing the damage to the kind of like the basket hilt itself, as in the protection size, that's not put me off, because as Matt said, it's stuff that's very simple to correct. It's stuff that can be filed off. I think from the time I've sparred against this, I've sparred once with this, and I think it's a great bit of kit, really. I mean, basket hilt is something that we've always been quite passionate about, and we've really enjoyed in our own sparring time, and I would heavily recommend it as a product for anyone that kind of is interested in basket hilt, definitely.
Absolutely. And I think Sam picks up a very important point there, is that although this is on the extreme heavy end of single-handed swords,
doesn't feel it
it doesn't. This is about 1,200 grams, and it feels lighter than my 3-bar saber, which there'll be a review coming up of, because all it just balances out the thickness of the blade. The weight of the hilt, it balances out so nicely, and you really don't feel like you're carrying that much. It truly is
a great bit of kit. Really. I mean, holding it now, it doesn't feel much. Of course, I haven't just sparred, so of course, the same with anything, it will get heavier the more your arm tires. But like it feels great. The balance is nice, the movement's nice. It's a great bit of kit.
Yeah. So all in all, we are quite happy to rate this product very highly. If you're into Scottish Highland broadsword, you're into Angelo silver, anything like that, the British backsword regimental systems, anything along those lines, this is definitely something that you would really do well to consider.
Besides that, we hope to see you in our future videos. Please comment below what you thought about if you have your own experiences with this particular sword. See you next time.